Welcome to channel AMAC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online beauty visa consultant. Are you interested in migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side, so once all the updates and news, you'll be the first one getting all the insight. Alright, as the 2025 has already kicked off, and we know that there's a general election gonna coming up, and the expected likelihood of winner is gonna be the coalition government. That's gonna be the Liberal National Party, led by Mr. Peter Dutton. So there has been a lot more talks about whether, and the campaign has already kicked off as well, there's been a similarity and being talks how Peter Dutton's ditches are somewhat copying what Donald Trump is actually doing in USA. The one thing that we cannot dodge around is that the right-wing the politics is actually covering, it's a wave, it's a trend coming up. So as we have seen what's happening in USA, and somewhat it's going to happen the same thing, similar wave of political trends happening in Europe, and also that's going to be happening in Australia as well. So the likelihood of winning and becoming the next government of Australia, coalition government, will be there. So there has been a little bit talks in regards to Peter Dutton, how he actually will perform and how he will actually copy or duplicate what Donald Trump is actually doing in USA. Now, bear in mind, there's a similarity, obviously, between Australia and USA, but there's also differentiations between Australia and USA as well. So not all the tactics and things, all the immigration policies will actually be the same. Now, I will provide what my think is how the coalition government will actually adopt, and let's go and have a look at this news from Independent Australia, which has been written by a well-known migration expert, Abu Rizvi. So this came out on the 30th of January, so that's 2 days ago, with the title reads, Peter Dutton sets eyes on Trump's mass deportation. Now, look, I think that is a way to actually, it's a very good pitch, to be honest, when the election comes. Very good pitch for the issues that's raised, but illegal immigrants or so-called illegal aliens is not as massive or problematic compared between Australia and US, because there's definitely a criminal gangs or groups is utilizing the way to actually infiltrate a USA, but Australia, not really. Yeah, there are some druggies, but it's not as severe as what's happening in USA. So let's have a read about how Abu Rizvi is really talking about here. So opposition leader Peter Dutton may attempt to emulate Donald Trump's deportation plan. Now, I'm good for deportation plan, because there has been just right before a few days ago, there has been thousands more refugee visas being issued by the current Labor government, despite there has been a lot of debates happening over there. But I think the coalition government under the government of Peter Dutton, I don't think he will actually allow a lot more than that, because you can see what Donald Trump has been doing. He has actually stopped those refugee quota coming from UN, and basically to get things roll out easier. So Peter Dutton walked back to now. First thing, I think the first paragraph is actually very good. Let me read it out, and you'll have think what Peter Dutton will actually be the next leader of Australia. Peter Dutton had walked back his proposal to reduce net migration to 160,000, and the Labor proposed 185,000. Now he further proposed 140,000 down here, and he also opposed Labor's student capping legislation, which he actually needs to implement his own one. So he opposed, he walked back in the last minute, if you have followed my channel, and now once he become the next prime minister, he will need to implement another one. Well, I think what he will actually do is there's nothing gonna change. Look, I've read so much of these historical changes, and every time there is a change of government, first of all they changed the departmental's name. So it used to be called Department of Citizenship, and then they changed Department of Multiculturalism, Department of Border Protection. Now it's Department of Home Affairs. It's the same. It's all the same. They always change, and they always want to change the subclass numbers or name. For example, you have seen what happened in the employment sponsored visa category, where they basically changed the TSS into SID, and the principle of the whole program is the same. It's exactly the same. Even the subclass is the same, so they only change a little bit. So I think there's nothing much that they can change apart from giving more quota to particular type of visa and reduce some number of particular type of visa. So I don't think in Australia there's much that they can change anymore. Now he's likely to walk back his promise on the cutting permanent migration program to 140,000. Now, why does Dr. Abu Rizvi said that? Because in his previous articles, he had talked about, look, 2025, we got about 27 million Australians compared to 20 years ago. There's probably not even 20 million. So the base foundation of population foundation is different now. And the services required is different now, okay, compared to previous. If you want to cut the major permanent migration program down to somewhere compared to, probably 10 or 15 years ago, it's just not going to happen. It's going to cause a lot of problem there. For example, they talked about the partner visa, the family related visa. There are a lot more Australian family related visa and applications because more Australians are traveling. They are getting more relatives and families, from elsewhere because the population is a lot more compared to 10, 15 years ago. That's pretty easy mathematics. So that's why Dr. Abu Rizvi said that 140,000, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So anyway, he talked about, furthermore, the article talked about how Dutton will actually emulate Donald Trump's positions. But then there's obstacles. First of all, I think, let me read this out, but this actually doesn't really compare to the scenario in Australia. For example, Trump's mass deportation, multitude of legal obstacles. Now, between states and the Federation, the US Congress and things, there's a lot of legal battles. It's different than how the Federation is formed in Australia, though. So this kind of issue doesn't really comply in a way, because we never seen an immigration issue that the Australian state will actually sue the federal government of Australia, the Commonwealth of Australia. So, but this does happen. For example, in California is always going against the US government, the national government there. Okay, the second one, massive increase in manpower. Yes, this will be the same. This will be similar if they want to deport more. However, in US there are 11 million undocumented migrants. That's illegal migrants, but we don't have that many. I don't know if it's going to get to about mil, but to get those undocumented or unlawful stays, aliens or immigrants, to be out of Australia will be much more easier compared to US. Resistance from the community, yes, there'll always be resistance, but I don't think Australia will be that tough. The community will be that tough. Massive increase of detention capacity. Look, we don't in Australia, because we don't have that many illegal, unlawful citizens in Australia. So that again will be an increase of the detention capacity, but not as massive as in US. Corporation receiving government and budget economic costs. So those things are not really a real issue in Australia. So let's come back to here. Now, for the deportation matter, if Dutton wanted to do it, because he already done it when he was the Minister of Immigration back in 2000, I forgot, 2016 or 2017, he already done once. So for him, will be much easier to take those action compared to what's gonna happen in the States. So he's very likely to pitch that point, which he already done it and proven in the past. Now, in regards to the permanent migration intake, I think the only changes, I don't think there's going to be much of changes. The only change will be different quota giving out to different category of visas. For example, there will be lesser perhaps family. He will cut some family off because if they can get, for example, partner visa, they can wait longer. I think that's how the Liberal National Party is going to approach that, and they'll put more efforts on the energy and technology related kind of visa compared to giving thousands to refugees or protection visa. So protection visa and refugee visa will likely to you can still apply, but the wait time is going to be a lot longer than how it used to be. Anyway, that's my thought about the coalition government. Looks like it's likely to win the elections, and see how that goes. For Australia, it's a compared smaller economy compared to US, and the problem, as I have said, is a lot more less than what US has. Australia has been a very, very, very conservative nation for the past 20-30 years. Now, that's a good thing because then their problem is lesser. But there's other issues that Australia will require to tackle with. Anyway, should you have more question query, more than welcome to leave comment right down below. And I see you next video. Goodbye.